Elden Ring came out 2 years ago. It's an open world masterpiece. Does it still hold up? Obviously. But yeah, let's get into it. The story of Elden Ring can kind of be confusing. It's very vague at times, but you get hints and just some statements from NPCs throughout the game. But the gist of it is that the Elden Ring shattered, and all these demigods are fighting over it. None of them became victorious, and so you are tarnished, and your whole job is to restore the Elden Ring and become the new Elden Lord. You'll come across a woman named Melina. She will play the role as your maiden, because you are maidenless, just like the Vare character says. So when you kill enemies in this game, you'll get runes, and that allows you to level up your stats. Vigor is your health. You can upgrade your arcane, magic, stamina, so you can like do more attacks without running out of the stamina meter. But yeah, when you kill enemies, you get runes, and she allows you the ability to turn runes into strength. So basically, allowing you to level up. You have a Crimson Tears flask, and that's what you'll drink to heal yourself. The way to upgrade these is to find Sacred Tears at Churches America and Golden Seeds at like little mini Erd trees that you'll find. You'll know what it is because it's glowing gold. But the Golden Seeds, I think, increase the amount they replenish. And the Sacred Tears, once you have like a certain number, they increase how many Crimson Flasks you'll have. It's either or. But yeah, definitely go explore and find those. Those are everywhere. And yeah. Melina also gives you a whistle for Torrent, your magical horse steed. And that lets you ride across the whole open world. Obviously, if you did it on foot, that would kind of be a pain. So you get a horse, and you can double jump with him, and it helps traverse. This is a Souls game, so you are going to die a lot. It's not the hardest Souls game, I wouldn't say, but it is hard, and you're going to die. The thing is that if a boss is giving you trouble, since it's like an open world Souls game, you can just go beeline to another boss, go explore another area. And I feel like they encourage that, to go explore if you're having trouble, come back when you're stronger, and then retake on the boss, and you'll have a little bit of more of an easier time. You'll come across a lot of NPCs with side quests and just other stuff you can do, and you get items from them. But I think there's like 35 side quests total, something like that. And, you know, you're not going to be able to do them all on your first playthrough, because you're definitely going to miss stuff on your first playthrough. This game is so massive, you know. It definitely, on my first ever playthrough on Xbox, it took about 100 hours just to get to the end of the game. And I did my best to explore, but definitely missed stuff. Unless you are Googling where things are, you're definitely going to miss stuff. But yeah, tons of NPCs to interact with, buy sorceries, spells, weapons, stuff like that. The bosses in this game range from the typical mini bosses you'll see in little dungeons and catacombs to like a medium-sized boss, and then you get like these big bosses. Take the fire giant for example. He's humongous. Not every boss will give you a great rune, but the ones that do, you can go to a divine tower and get the remembrance for that boss, I believe. And so I'm not sure how many great runes there are. There's like 7 or 10, something in that range. And each great rune you can equip only one at a time. And they'll give you like stat boosts, like increasing your health, stamina. They all have their different effects, so you can experiment with them. There's so much to explore in this game. It really is a massive open world, and it's just so amazing. I love the art style with a big Erd tree in the background, glowing yellow and gold, and just the red sky and K-Lid, you know? It just looks so amazing and epic. The art style in the whole entire game is just absolutely incredible. They really did a fantastic job. Like I mentioned earlier, there's lots of catacombs and dungeons. I think there's a total of like 156 bosses total, something like that. Not mandatory. I think there's only like 12 or 13 mandatory boss fights, but if you were to Google and just look up every single optional mini boss in the game, some of them are repeated with like slightly different movesets, but that's not a big deal. But yeah, they're just so many dungeon bosses and just like open world bosses. There's bosses at nighttime that only appear at nighttime, like the Death Bird and the Black Knight on the horse. So, and the Bell-bearing Hunter. Oh yeah. You actually fight him like twice, I believe. From what I fought him twice at the shack. There's a shack you can go to at nighttime, and then there's that castle with like the swamp lake. You can fight one. But yeah. There's lots of weapons to equip. Tons and tons and tons of weapons. Arrows, bow and arrows, different types. You got different types of talisman that increase your health, magic, stamina. Some give you immunity to like status afflictions. There's so many, you know, just experiment with them. You have consumables, like you can craft stuff too. So you can craft consumables, or you can just find them through dungeons or just exploring the open world. Cure poison, cures bleed, build up, cures scarlet rot, stuff like that. You can also get summons in this game, which will help you with boss fights. You can't just summon whenever you want, but there's like a tombstone icon that appears on the screen, and when that happens, you can summon. There's tons of summons, and then there's like the legendary ones you can find. I heard that Black Knife Tish, after the patch, is like probably like the top tier one, even though the Mimic I feel is still the best, even after they kind of nerfed him. I think they kept his health intact, but they nerfed the amount of damage he outputs. But I mean, I still used him the whole game, and it wasn't a problem. Didn't really notice anything different on my second playthrough. But yeah, the Mimic's my favorite. There's tons. There's like a jellyfish. They help you in battle, but once they die, they vanish, and you can only summon once per battle. This game takes place in the lands between, and there's tons of sites of grace everywhere. And like I said before, unless you Google, you're not going to be able to find every single one of them. And you don't have to. They're basically like checkpoint areas. So if you sit at one or just light one, that's where you can like level up and adjust your stats and stuff. You can talk to Melina sometimes. And that's where you have a checkpoint. So if you die, you'll respawn at whatever last site of grace you were at. They also act as fast travel points, so if you light one, say in Caelid, and one in Wayernia, you can fast travel between them. Light them. You need them. This is one of those games where you can play for like 7 hours in a row and not even realize it. There's so much to explore, so much fun to be had, and lots of enemies to kill, but the classic Souls fashion, if you sit down at a checkpoint, similar to Demon Souls, there's like those little bonfires you can sit at, and on here you sit at a site of grace. When you get back up, the enemies will respawn. Not bosses you've killed, but enemies. So yeah, sitting at a site of grace will heal you and cure your status ailments, but the enemies in the overworld will respawn. You'll come across these blue glowing circle things, and these are called Evergails. And basically, they're like powerful enemies that were locked inside of them. And once you beat them, sometimes they'll give you like a weapon, a spell. They'll give you something good. So go explore and fight them. They're not easy. Some of them are harder than others, but yeah, take them down. There's a round table hold, which is kind of like a safe zone of a hub world that you can go to. Melina will take you there when you first talk to her, and you'll see a whole bunch of other Tarnished just like you. And throughout the game, they'll start disappearing, especially if you do like some side quests. And eventually there'll be nothing left. And in this gameplay right here, this is after you burn the Erd Tree, way later in the game. And so there's like a whole theory that there's 2 round tables in the game. And there's like a whole theory that the one in the Waynedale Capital was the original. And this one is like a part of the Erd Tree. So that's why it's like an illusion. It's like part of Queen Marika's mind or something, and that's why it also catches fire. But you can talk to Hugh, the blacksmith. He'll upgrade your weapons. You have to find smithing stones. There's a twin maiden husk you can buy smithing stones from. There's a girl named Rodrika, which you have to talk to near the Storm Hill Shack originally, by the Storm Gate in Limgrave or whatever, and she allows you to spirit tune, which will upgrade your summons. I've talked about the art style and how it's absolutely amazing, and the lighting with this game's engine is just fantastic, absolutely amazing. But I did not talk about the music. The music is just as epic and amazing. So epic. Every boss theme is just crazy, and it just gets me so pumped up. And it's just, you're in this epic battle and this music's playing. It's just incredible. Some tracks for like dungeon bosses will be repeated, but the main bosses all have their own unique theme. I think my favorite is the Verdun fight music and Malekith the Black Blade. Both those themes just go so hard, just amazing. And the final boss theme, how it reuses like the main theme with it, is just epic. There's so much to explore, so much to find. You're not going to find it all in your first playthrough unless you Google it. And even then, it's going to take you over 100 hours. When you beat the game, you unlock New Game Plus. And you'll keep all your stats, you'll keep everything. But you'll start the whole game over with all your weapons and everything. I feel like you could just breeze through bosses. Now, the bosses do more damage than the base game. And have a little bit more health, I believe. Each time you start another New Game Plus. So like New Game Plus 1, 2, 3, they all have like their different boss healths and damage output. But honestly, like New Game Plus 1 or whatever, you can still just breeze through the bosses you've already beaten. Yeah, not too bad. Elden Ring is one of my favorite games of all time. Actually, top 10. It's a masterpiece. I love it. But if I had to say something bad about it, in classic Souls fashion, I would say missable items. There's certain items, like a legendary armament, for example, or talisman, which in this case I'm talking about like an armament. Items in general that are missable if you progress a story to a certain point before grabbing them, you know? And so that can suck, because then you have to start a New Game Plus playthrough just to go grab something. But, I mean, it's not as bad. That's really the only thing bad I can say about it. Some enemy bosses have like a long wind up before they do an attack, so they like fake you out. But that's honestly not really bad in my opinion. Doesn't really bother me. Just these missable items, but besides that, there's literally nothing I can really complain about. It's such an amazing game. I love it. I love the difficulty. It's not as hard as people make it out to be. I mean, it's definitely a challenge. But, yeah, definitely go play it. 10 out of 10 masterpiece. And I'll see you next time.
Back upon us and recall an age of fracture.